Matt O'Reilly's Celtic career looks like it's coming to an end, as it seems he's played his final game for the club, but his Brighton career is only just beginning, and it could begin this weekend in the Premier League. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Football, and the news going around is that within the next 72 hours, Matt O'Reilly will officially be a Brighton player. They have put in a formal bid, a bid that would make Matt O'Reilly become the highest rated transfer of all time in the Scottish Premiership, and that is something that Celtic will accept, and that is something that will probably get Matt O'Reilly his move to the Premier League. Now, after all bonuses and sell-on clauses are added, it's going to be worth approximately £30 million, so that's a lot of money. And for any team in Scotland, it is just way too much to turn down. Now, I'm feeling a little bit under the weather today, and I'm sure this news is going to make Celtic fans feel sick, the fact that they're losing arguably their best player. But then I thought about it, I mean, really? Will they really be sick? I mean, you never want to lose your best player, but at the same time, if you're getting 30 million plus, then you can just rebuild the squad with that. You can bring in so many more players, you can invest that money. And it's just the cycle of Scottish football. Yeah, it's going to be sad for Celtic to lose Matt O'Reilly, but what they've got here is the perfect blueprint. You never want to lose your best player, but, I mean, you need to be realistic as well. Someone as good as Matt O'Reilly is never going to play his career in Scotland. He's never going to stay in Scotland for the rest of his life. You know, maybe that could happen in the 80s and 90s, but unfortunately in football now, that's not realistic. The only way you can stay in Scotland your entire career, honestly, is if you're just not that good like Callum McGregor. But Matt O'Reilly is really good, so he's not going to stay here forever. He is going to move on, and I think what Celtic have done with Matt O'Reilly is perfect. Not just for them as a club, but I think every club in Scotland needs to try and do the same. Now, I get it. Different clubs have different finances. Pretty much any other club is not going to go out and pay 1.5 million for a guy for MK Dons. I get that. I mean, Rangers probably could. I mean, I'm not saying Hearts and Aberdeen couldn't, but I don't think they would. But the point is, I think that's what all the clubs need to do. They need to do what Celtic have done over the years, and you buy young players, you get them on a long-term deal. Let's say you get them on a 5-year deal, and you bring them in. You just have to accept that, look, even if we get half of his contract, if we get him to stay at the club for 2 or 3 seasons, and we get 2 really good seasons out of him, or 3 really good seasons out of him, then move him on, that's a success. Yeah, you would want, if you get a great player and you want him to stay his full contract, you want him to stay as long as possible, but that's just not going to happen. So I think Celtic getting Matt O'Reilly in, and having him stay and having a great couple of seasons and then moving him on still while he has 2 years left on his contract, that's pretty much perfect. That's got to be what the clubs in Scotland are aiming for. Get players in, young players, okay? Get young players in, try and find them as cheap as possible, get them on long 5-year deals or 4-year deals, and then hopefully for the first year, that first half of the deal, you're getting a couple of great seasons out of them. And then by then, you know, their values went up, their estimations went up, you get offers, and then you can offload them while they've still got time left on their contract and make a good profit, and then just repeat the same thing again. I think we've seen too many clubs in Scotland over the years bring in players and just allow their contracts to run down. You look at the situation with Rangers, when they were, you know, when they won title 55, when they were in the Europa League final, a lot of their players were being valued at decent money, and there was a lot of bids coming in, and they just didn't accept it. You know, they held on to these players pretty much until, you know, their contracts were running down, and by that time, a lot of them were just past it. You know, they were shit. They weren't really offering what they were before. I mean, you think of the money that Rangers could have made if they'd sold Ryan Kent, or if they sold Morelos at the right time. Barisic at one point was getting big money offers, so I mean, there was money there to be made. Rangers just didn't make it. Now, I don't think Matt O'Reilly's going to go to shit. Look, if Celtic kept him till his contract ran out, he's not going to turn to shit overnight, okay? That's not going to happen, but they wouldn't get the money for him. The likelihood is, if Celtic keep this guy, he's not going to sign another new deal, and then he would just leave for free. So, I mean, it makes perfect sense. Get rid of him while you still can. And how will he go on at Brighton? Honestly, I think he'll be good. I think he will be a good player for Brighton. I think he'll start. I'd love to see Matt O'Reilly and Billy Gilmour in that Brighton team together. I think they could do great stuff. And you look at the football that Brighton play, they play attractive football. And I think Matt O'Reilly will fit right in there. They're not like an anti-football team. So for me, it's a great move for Matt O'Reilly. It's great for everybody involved. Matt O'Reilly's getting a big move to the Premier League. People will say Brighton, he's too good for Brighton. He's above Brighton. Is he really, though? Brighton are a top 10 club. We've seen in the past, 3 seasons, I believe they have a 6th place, a 9th place, and an 11th place finish. This is a team that is either finishing in the top 10 or just missing out. They're a good side who, on their day, can beat anyone. They've proven it time and time again. They've had European football. Who's to say with this signing and a few more signings, Brighton can't be getting European football again? Plus, I highly doubt Brighton will be the final destination for Matt O'Reilly. There's nothing to say that he can't go to Brighton, have a couple of seasons at Brighton like he did at Celtic, and then find himself, getting a move to a bigger club. And people are saying, he should go to Chelsea. I think Brighton's a much better option for Matt O'Reilly than Chelsea. We've seen Chelsea kill a shitload of careers. Not saying they'd kill Matt O'Reilly's, but we've seen a lot of good players go to Chelsea and just not deliver. And Chelsea will just pay the money to bring someone in to replace you. I think at Brighton, you're more likely to get a chance. I think if Matt O'Reilly goes to Brighton and he struggles for his first 6 months or first season, I think he's going to have more of a chance to turn it around and break into the team and become the player that we know he is. I think if you go to Chelsea, honestly, you got off to a slow start, you got off to a slow 2 months, and you can just be, you find yourself sitting on the bench. So I think that Brighton is definitely a good move. So yeah, it looks like the deal will be done the next 72 hours. And Celtic will be, I guess, splashing their cash. Will they splash it, to be honest? Who knows? Because we always hear how much money they've got, and we never really see them spend it. So it's going to be interesting. But Billy Gilmour is actually supposedly wanted by Napoli as well for a deal around 15 million. So it's going to be interesting to see that if Billy Gilmour does leave, is that making room for Matt O'Reilly? Or I'd like to see them together, personally. I'd like to see Gilmour and O'Reilly in the same team. But yeah, guys, that is it. Matt O'Reilly looking to become a Brighton player very soon. Played his last game for the club, and his last game for Celtic will be a 3-1 win over Hibs in the Fireplay Cup. It's not the greatest game to go out on, I guess, but I mean, who cares? You look at the success he's had at Celtic. I highly doubt that he's gonna, he's not gonna care too much about his final game being against Hibernians. So, I mean, he'll be happy enough. He came in January 2021, 2022, had that half season. I mean, he was pretty good in that half season, but I mean, he really kicked on. It was the 2023-2024 season. You could tell he was a good player. Don't get me wrong. You could tell under Ange that he was a good player, but it was really last year when Rodgers came in, that's when Matt O'Reilly took his game to a whole new level, especially the goals. The goals were insane. That's what really changed about Matt O'Reilly. I mean, he's always been good at Celtic. He's always looked like a fantastic player, but it's just the amount of goals he scored last season, man. It really was incredible. What was it 18 goals, 18 league goals in 37 league appearances? That's a striker, that's a really good striker. I mean, how many strikers actually score 18 goals in the league? Not many. Not many get to that. Even if you play for Celtic or Rangers, not many get to 18 goals. And Matt O'Reilly did it from the midfield last season. So, that's what it is, guys. Anyway, overall, he had 93 games for Celtic, 25 goals. So that just goes to show you that in the league, that's incredible when you think about it. So, he scored 7 goals in the first season and a half, and then he scored 18 last year. So, yeah, that is crazy. Overall, he got 27 goals and 124 appearances. So, yeah, again, the league goals just dwarfs everything else. The league goals he done last year just dwarfs everything else at his time at Celtic. In terms of trophies, though, obviously, he's got 3 league titles under his belt, 2 Scottish Cups, and a Scottish League Cup. So, pretty successful stint in Scotland, winning 6 trophies. I'm sure he'll be happy with that. Anyway, guys, that is it. I'll catch you in the next one. Beanfog Football. Till next time, Matt O'Reilly. It was nice seeing you play in Scotland, but it's time to say goodbye. Till then, though, peace.